Alright, so today I'm going to perform a demo on how to use the occipital/canvas sensor and the iPad when doing QSR Warewash site surveys. So the first thing that we want to do is that we want to pull up the Canvas app, which is this button right here with the little blue cube. And then the first thing that we want to do is click these three little dashes up in the top left, the little menu button, and add new home. So essentially each new home, quote unquote home, is going to be each new restaurant that you visit. And we're going to want to use a standard naming system so that whenever Kent or Kurt or Tim, whoever is looking at these scans sent back from the third-party company, that it's easy for us to find whatever store it is and marry that up with the Excel document that you're also going to be sending. So the naming system that we're going to use is just simply the name of the account, which is going to be McDonald's, and then the number sign, and then whatever the national store account number is. So we'll just call this store number 123, and then we'll click on the create button, which brings us to this screen. So whenever I click this plus mark, this blue one in the bottom right hand corner, that is going to initialize the sensor, and we'll go ahead and do that. Sometimes it will say please connect your sensor, and you may have to unplug it from the iPad and then plug it back in, and within 3 to 4 seconds it will initialize and bring us to the actual screen where we will be doing the scanning. A couple of things that you want to notice up at the top left hand corner is your sensory battery life, which is for me at 77% right now. I have done 3 or 4 hours of scanning in a row and still not ran out of sensor battery life. However, the iPad battery life will probably be the first to go, so it's always the best practice to charge those up before you head out to do your scanning, and also probably to take your chargers with you if you need to do any charging while you're on the road. So to begin the scan today, a couple of things before we even start scanning. We want to just take a look around the dish room, and this is the Ecolab display kitchen here in Greensboro, but just take a look and do a little bit of a pathway that you're going to try to take during your scan, because remember, you're going to be paying attention really to the screen, not really what's in your pathway when you're walking. So it's always good to remove items such as this mop bucket. We'll go ahead and move this out of the way, and also this trash can so it doesn't get in our way whenever we're doing the scan. The next thing that we want to do is we want to try to find a corner of the dish room that has the most geometry, or at least a lot of geometry. This is probably not going to be a problem for you out in the field because there's hundreds of things all over the wall back of house. In here, not so much, but this looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this general area to start in for the scan. And a general rule, you remember in the training last week, is that you want to stand about 3 to 10 feet away from the walls as you're scanning. So to begin the scan, what you're going to want to do is start at the very bottom or top of the wall where it intersects with the ceiling in a corner, and then you'll press the blue scan button to initialize. And then we're just going to make a nice fluid motion, kind of like a paintbrush motion, as the company says. And the important thing to remember is that you don't have to get the whole ceiling or the whole floor, just where it overlaps with the wall. Another thing that to keep in mind is that there's a memory usage indicator at the top right-hand corner, and what that is just if you have an extremely large room, which is not going to be a problem for us, you only have so much memory, and that's related to the RAM on the specific iPad that you're using. And I'm using actually an iPad mini right now, so I'm going to have less memory than you guys do running on your standard iPads. But that's just something to keep an eye on, but it's not going to be an issue for us. Again, I'm just making nice consistent motions up and down the walls, only to where it intersects with the floor or the ceiling. And then I'm returning back to that same corner that I started in. So sometimes, oh, there it is. There it pops up. So the software has noticed that I have returned to my starting point, and to complete the loop and to finalize the scan, I'll click that Enhance button right there on the left-hand side of your screen. We'll just wait for that to get done. All right, and so we are done with the scan. And you'll click the done button. It'll finalize the scan. And there's a couple of things I want to show you when this is finished about some of the in-app functionality that you could use if you see fit. If you kind of talking with the operator in the back of house and maybe need some quick and dirty measurements. And so essentially what we have here is a mesh file, and you can kind of navigate through the scan that you just created with the sensor. So say for example I wanted to measure the distance of this 3-compartment sink. We're actually just the TSC machine, for example, in here. I'll click the measure button, and then you can just simply tap 2 points, and then it'll give you the measurements there. And you can do that for any object anywhere on the screen. I mean, in between those 2 points, it will give you a measurement. And to delete it, all you have to do is simply click back on it, press delete. But I think that could be beneficial if you are, trying to get some very quick measurements and you want to kind of have a conversation with an operator about what the store would potentially look like. That may be helpful. Another feature is the top view, which is underneath the scan to CAD in the top right hand corner. There's a little button that has a T, and you can click that, and what that'll do is give you kind of a top down view. And you can do the same thing in this view. You can take measurements in between any 2 points just by clicking on any 2 areas in the screen. So I mean, it'll give you measurements between any 2 points that you click on. We'll go ahead and delete that. All right, so that's pretty much all you need to do. The next thing that you're going to do in the process is you're going to actually push that Scan to CAD button, which is in the top right-hand corner. And as I said on the call last week, for the very first pilot test, which is going to be 2 stores for each person, you will actually have to still follow this standard process, and you'll have to pay for these 2 scans on your credit card. So click the next button. Make sure the recipient here is www.surveys@ecolab.com, and this is a email that we had set up for everything related to this project and these sensors to come directly to. And then we'll click next, and then you'll put in your credit card information, and then press submit order, and then you'll be done with the scanning portion. I'll go ahead and back out of this because we don't need to get a CAD drawing of this. And then very quickly I'm going to go over the Excel spreadsheet that I preloaded onto everyone's iPad. So if you're inside of a store, all you simply have to do is to click on Excel, and if it doesn't automatically open up with this spreadsheet, it's called Additional Information and Photos. And if you want to open it up, say for example it wasn't open, you can click on the file and then choose it. It should be located on your iPad if you need to try to find it and pull it up. So the first thing that you're going to do, I recommend, I'll go back to this kind of file screen, is that in the top left hand corner you'll see that I am already logged in. You need to go ahead and log in to Excel through Ecolab, because what that'll do is enable you to use all the functionality of Excel. If not, you won't be able to manipulate the file, and you won't be able to send a copy. So it's always best to go ahead and log in with your username and password, and it's pretty simple and straightforward to do that. So once you're logged in, go ahead and click back into the additional info and photos spreadsheet, and then you'll just fill out all the information. I mean, this is stuff that you guys are already used to seeing that was on the old Warewash site survey spreadsheet. And so there is not anything new that we've added that should be a surprise to you. Again, you'll just go through filling out all the information. So account name is going to be McDonald's, national store number. You can simply click on that, put whatever number it is. This one was 123 for our example. The address is also something that we need. And then you'll see underneath of that is verification measurements with tape measure. And the reason that I had to include this is that, as I mentioned last week, I'm going to be running some statistics just to ensure that this software is 100% as accurate as a tape measure, so that we don't get any inconsistencies when we start going into stores without a tape measure. And you'll only have to do this for the pilot test, so for 2 stores, and then after that, this section, I'll send you a new version, and this will actually go away. You don't even have to fill that part out. It won't even be necessary. But again, go through, fill out all the information. I tried to include, for example, type of water heater. You'll see the drop down box. I tried to put as many of those as possible so you can just simply click on them. Hold on, one other thing that I want to mention that's important before you start this is that you want to click on that top left hand icon, has 3 dots. You see where it says auto save. You want to make sure that that is actually off, because you don't want it to auto save every single time. But now that that's done, go through and fill out the form, and just put whatever options that the store has. And another cool feature that I thought would be cool if we added in is you can simply go up here into insert, because you have to put in, you guys know the standard photos that we have to take. So when you're ready to take those photos, you can click on a cell over here to the right, and then we'll put insert, and then we'll go to camera. And if it's your first time using it, it will actually ask you, for access to your camera. You click yes, and then, if I wanted to take a picture of, let's see, we'll just take a picture of this. You're going to be taking pictures of things like this drain line, which this doesn't actually have a drain line. I'll just do this as an example. Take a picture, and then you say use photo, and it actually inserts directly into the spreadsheet, and you can move it over there. So click another cell, push insert, click camera, and then take the next photo that you need, and then repeat the same process. So the beautiful thing about this is that after the pilot is over and you guys really start hitting hard on knocking these things out, you won't even have to carry your tape measure anymore. I mean, everything that you'll need with the exception of the temperature probe will be included on this iPad. So the last thing that you're going to do after you've filled out all the information is that you're going to click this same button at the very top, the icon, the page with the 3 little dots. You're going to click Save a Copy. You're going to name it McDonald's. Same thing you named the scan. So McDonald's 1, 2, let me put the number mark in there. Number 1, 2, 3. Make sure it's saved on the iPad. Down here it says other locations. So you want to make sure it's saved on the iPad. And then it's saving. And once you've done that, re-click the same button, and then you're going to send a copy. Email with Outlook. And we'll go ahead and wait for that to come up. And you're going to be sending this to the same place that the scans are going to be going to. So www.surveys@ecolab.com. And then you'll click this little diamond up here to send it in the top right hand corner. And that's it. And that completes the process. One thing I do want to note is that after you have done your scan, it does have to upload to Occipital, and it's a pretty large file size, so probably in the neighborhood of 1 to 200 megabytes. And so that'll take a little bit of time, but you don't have to stand around and wait at the store for the scan to upload, because it's cellularly connected, and so you can hop in your car and in the background it'll be uploading. So that's another cool feature of the software. You don't have to stand there at the store and wait for it to upload. So if you guys have any questions, you can email me at isaac.fouts@ecolab.com, and you can actually call me on my cell, which is 336-314-5564, if you have any questions whatsoever. Thanks a lot.